Hey, friends! Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast with your host, Nicole
and Hannah. Come join us for some hopeful conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing.
Hey, Postables, we're back for another episode, and we're so excited to chat with Miss Special Delivery herself, the lovely Crystal Lowe. Welcome to the podcast, Crystal.
Thank you. I'm very honored to be here, and I love that you have the DLO and that background there. I miss it so much. I still remember the very first day that the four of us walked in, because that's the original set, obviously. And we had never seen it. And the set designer at that time, I mean, she, like, obviously you can see it, how much detail and intricacy went into doing that. We all walked in and the reaction was all the same. We were like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is amazing.
It's another world.
It really was. They created something really special because, everybody has an interpretation of something on the page. It's like if you read a book, when I read Harry Potter, Dolby did not look like that. I was very mad. Dolby was chubby in my mind and cute and round, not skinny. But so like, it's the same thing for us as actors. We have this idea of what it looks like. And then you walk in and you see this and you're like, oh, this is like 1,000 times better than what I thought. This is so good.
Yeah.
It is amazing. And we're keeping our fingers crossed that you all will be back there very soon.
I think you should still keep them crossed. I just think.
Thinking positive.
Yeah. Hope is not gone. I will tell you that much right now. I keep hearing little snippets of hope.
That's amazing. Yeah.
From all over the place.
Okay.
I can't say specifically from who, but from people that would know and have power to know, that don't let go of thinking it'll
give up. We will never give up.
Yeah. And I can also tell you, the only reason that it's going to happen, if it happens, is because of you guys. And I really mean that. Like, I know the effort has been long and treacherous for everyone. And people are like, when is this ever going to happen? It's because of you guys. Like, it really is.
I do have to say the Postables are a force.
They're
amazing.
They totally are. Yeah.
That's what happens when you get a predominantly large group of women together. Anything can be done, and we never give up.
Yes, we're trusting the timing.
Yes, definitely.
Let's see. Before we get to our interview, the two of us, we met at RomaDrama in West Palm Beach last June. So what was your favorite part of the weekend?
Oh my God, that weekend was like such a blur, like a fast moving, wonderful blur. I think meeting all the fans in person and seeing, and also because COVID had happened, it kept getting pushed. We had not seen each other for so long. Obviously, my favorite part of everything is with Kristen. And usually my favorite part of any of that is like at the end of everything, when her and I are like in pajamas in her hotel room eating takeout, and she's sleeping, like she sleeps in a coffin. She sleeps really, she's going to kill me when I tell people this, but I've never slept next to somebody who goes, I'm going to go to sleep now. And then like falls asleep. I'm like, oh my God, wake up. She's like, I'm sleeping. And even though we have separate hotel rooms, whenever we travel together, I always like end up in her hotel room or she ends up in mine.
That's hilarious.
Because we love each other and I don't get to see her. So, that.
Of course.
That's like my, that's the time that I get to like take my makeup off and kick my shoes off. And then we talk about whatever we needed to catch up on that we haven't FaceTiming the week before. I think meeting everybody, I think how, our fan base really, I mean, all the Hallmark fan base is very kind and really lovely, especially getting to meet other people's fan bases. But there's something sparkly about the Postables. And I think because the show promotes such a healthy, loving, hope-based, message all the time, and to be kind to one another, and it really holds people accountable to be their best selves. I really saw that with our Postables. I was like, wow, our Postables are so welcoming and warm, and if they don't agree with you, they'll just say, that's okay, I don't agree with you, and then we'll get, but we still support each other. And I loved seeing that in person in front of me.
I loved that. That was my favorite part of the weekend, just meeting all of you and then meeting all of my fellow Postables, and then karaoke night. That probably was the highlight of the weekend for me.
That was a super fun. The whole thing was fun. I mean, it was just I'm glad they did it. I
Yeah.
think those events are really great, and our fan base wants it, and we
Mhm.
loved it. And getting to hang out with Zach is so fun for me. We always have such a blast. And Eric, and too bad Gigi wasn't there, but he'll come to the next one, I'm sure.
Mhm. Yes,
Um,
fingers crossed.
yeah, everybody wants to meet Norman now. Nobody's really met. Jeff's an
Yeah.
he's an enigma. He keeps everybody guessing.
Oh my goodness.
Right, right.
Our first question for the interview is, how did you get your start in acting and what inspired you to become an actor?
Oh my God. I got started very, very young. When I was about 5 or 6, my mom put me, my grandfather was the pastor of a Baptist church. So I'm
Oh.
a pastor's granddaughter. And my mom used to run the program for the junior church. Is that what it was called? So she would do all the plays, or we called it junior church. So she would have all the
Yeah.
plays and we would do all that stuff. She would never let me be the lead.
Oh.
Because she was like, nepotism, we don't do that in our family, we can't, people are gonna think it's just because you're my daughter. But the first time she got me on that stage, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I'll be really candid and honest, part of it was because everybody came up to me after and said, oh, you were so great. And I was like, oh, attention, I love attention. This is amazing, who wouldn't want to do this? Also, I felt very comfortable performing. Like it wasn't hard for me to get on a stage. It felt natural and more normal for me to be up there than almost off the stage, so that's kind of when I started. And my mom signed me up with an agent, and I was auditioning, and then she pulled me out because the other mothers were very fierce in their competitiveness. My mom is a scholar and an academic, and so while she's very fierce in her conviction, she didn't want me to feel that competition. She wanted me to do it because it was fun, and she felt like it wasn't that way. So when she pulled me out, she said, "Look, if you really want to do this, when you're old enough to drive yourself to auditions, or when you're old enough to, then you can go back." And like the second I turned 15, I was like,
Oh,
going back now. She was like, okay, yeah,
that's
you want to go back.
awesome.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where, and obviously it's evolved so much, because as much as I love having people tell me I was great, now it's just so much more about storytelling and using my voice, and speaking to people, and really giving a channel for empathy. That's what I believe storytelling is to give us a window into other people's lives, and so that we have a little more empathy in this world, because the empathy part is missing a lot. And I'm driven in my storytelling to show different perspectives, so
Mhm.
that we can open our minds,
Yeah.
things that maybe scare us that shouldn't.
I think we need a lot more kindness in this world because
Yeah.
things have gotten
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I think people are terrified. I come from the feeling that everything comes from fear and love. Anger comes from fear. And we are also conditioned to be scared of everything. A lot of us,
Mhm.
or to feel like we're bad people, or to feel like if we do something wrong, then that's it. You're going to the worst place on, and you'll never come out of there. That fear driven stuff, I don't agree with. I don't think it's necessary.
Mhm.
And I would really love to encourage people to not be afraid of the unknown, and to just educate yourself of the unknown, because you might find that that's actually more where you lean. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great perspective. Definitely one to keep in mind
I
for
love that
sure.
too.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So what was your first big role? Was that in TV, theater, or film?
my first, well, I mean, I was Delilah and Samson and Delilah when I was like
Oh.
8. That was
Aw,
huge. Uh,
yeah.
and still like, it was a big deal.
Yes. Yes.
I was a sheep when I was like 6, because again, mom would never let me be Mary.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Just so you know, when she wouldn't let me, then I would stand on stage and sing like as loudly as I could sing. And in my mind, I was like, I'm going to show them. I'm going
Right,
to show
right.
them I should have been married. I'm going to prove it to them. She was so funny because at the end of all that, she would always take me aside and go, "Oh, you were the best. You were just the best," and then take me for a special treat because she's
Right.
the most encouraging.
Yeah.
But my first professional role was in Stargate,
Mhm.
and I
Okay.
booked a guest star on that. But I had actually tested for my first audition professionally. I tested for a series as a series regular on a show called Breaker High. I don't know if you guys remember that show. It was like so long ago. Ryan Gosling was on that show.
Oh, okay. Nice,
It was
nice.
about like a cruise ship high school
Mhm.
Wow.
school. Yeah, it was like before he became, Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
And Tyler Labine was on that. And Tyler Labine, if you look him up, you would know who he is. He's on New Amsterdam. His mom became my manager because my mom couldn't take me to auditions because she worked. So all three of her sons have been in film for years. So she started a company where she would bring young actors to set and be their parental guardian and take care of them. So yeah, she took me on and I almost booked a series my first audition, which was pretty cool.
Wow. Yeah, that
Um,
is pretty cool.
It was cool, except that then when you get that right away, you're like, oh, this is easy. I'll just book
Yeah.
everything. And then
Sure,
that doesn't
sure.
happen. So you're like, oh, that was a fall from grace.
Yeah.
Ryan is a great actor, and I think if I remember, he's the one that was in The Notebook with,
Yes.
Ryan Gosling?
I think, yeah. And
Yeah.
my name
Yeah.
is drawing a blank on the
Yeah.
female lead.
Yeah.
Rachel McAdams.
Yes, thank you, Rachel McAdams.
Here's what I love. I love that you know my name, no problem, but you don't really know Ryan
Yes.
Gosling's name. Thank you, because
Yes,
that makes
there
me
you go.
feel very important.
Oh yes, thank
Oh
you.
yeah.
Rachel
Oh
McAdams.
yeah.
Great movie, by the way.
Yes, it was.
See. Besides Science of Delivery, do you have a favorite role on and off Hallmark that you've had the opportunity to play throughout your career?
Oh, I've had just so many, but I did love being Toby Nance. That was a series I did with Jeff actually right before I did that right before Science Field. So him and I were on a series called Primeval New World as series regs too, but we played totally different characters. Jeff is really funny in that show if you watch it. And that was the first, I was trying to transition my career, right? So for years and years, I was in horror films, which I loved being in those kind of movies, but I was definitely in over sexualized roles, all told from the male gaze where I really believed, this was my worth. I was also modeling at that point. I was in Maxim and that kind of stuff. So I had really wanted to make a change. And Toby, that character was kind of my first jot into not playing those kind of roles. Toby, when I got the callback for her, the showrunner called me and he was like, listen, I'm pitching you, I'm fighting for you. There's some people that don't think it's right for you, but I need you to take off all your makeup. I need you to think about Val from Scooby-Doo, and I need you to channel that. And I was like, what? I'm sorry, did you just say take off all my makeup? Because I'm not going to do that. He was like, you are going to do that. Take all your makeup off. And that was terrifying for me, because again, I thought that was my value, right? How I looked. So doing an audition with no makeup was like, oh my God. And then booking it and then being like, oh, okay, maybe people don't really care if I have all this makeup on. And maybe, but it was very scary for me, which is sad. Isn't that sad? That would be scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that role before this one, and that was a really fun role. I got to play a cool techie suicide girl, and that was really cool. Just something I hadn't done before.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, that's a really I would say that's a good way to kind of get into the industry though, to kind of right off the bat. I mean, not right away, but pretty much in the beginning of kind of your career there, that you had to have that experience where, oh, I have to take all the makeup off, I have to do this, I have to do that. It kind of, I would say it's probably a little bit of a humbling experience as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it just taught me that, and over time, especially with Rita, I've talked about this lots before, but Rita really taught me that I was more. And
right. Yeah.
that's why I'm doing this glow up thing, on Instagram, because I'm a mom now and I'm exhausted and I need 10 minutes a day for myself to do something nice. But also, I really want to explore being gorge, putting our makeup on,
Mhm.
doing the things. I love getting my lashes done. I just want to get them done. I want to go get a pedicure, manicure. Yeah, I want to do
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
skincare routine. And I don't want to judge people that do any of that stuff. But I think now I'm exploring the question of like, why do I want to do that?
Mhm.
Who's it for?
Yeah.
And what's my perception of beauty? Because
Mhm.
you guys are younger than me, but for somebody like me growing up, um, my perception of beauty is only told by the male gaze.
Mhm.
Still sort of is, right? Like we very rarely have female perspective on what beauty is. I was raised with Victoria's Secret models, and like that was Maxim, and all these kind of like hot
Mhm.
girl things. So that's
Yeah.
my perception of what beautiful is. So I
Mhm.
guess what I'm
Yeah.
trying to explore now is the inside stuff. Am I
Yes.
doing it for me? Do I just like getting my lashes done? Can I not care how I look and also get my lashes done? Can I just
Yeah.
do both?
Yeah.
And where do
Right.
I find
Right.
that balance?
Right.
So, and for
Yes.
other women to embrace who they are, and I don't care what you want to do. If you want to get plastic surgery, if you don't, you want to do. I don't care what you want to do. I have zero judgment on it. I just want to know that it's for you, not for
Mhm.
somebody else.
Right.
So I guess I want to, keep deconstructing that for myself, and hopefully that inspires people to do that for themselves.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
love that
That's
perspective.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. So most of our listeners really love to hear about an actor's most challenging role. So we were
Mm.
wondering if you can share with us if you have a role that you consider your most challenging.
Yeah, Rita. She was like, I was like, I am getting fired.
Oh,
100% I'm getting fired because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't do comedy. I'm not funny. Jeff is funny. He's so funny. Like, I was so terrified. When I
Yeah.
took the job, I was like, I'm getting fired for sure. I couldn't even
Oh,
keep it together on set. I remember looking at Martha being like, oh, you made a mistake, but she knew she didn't. She
no.
no.
has said that to me.
Mm-mm.
I only say that because she says that to me a million times. Um, and we really created Rita
Yeah.
together, and made her kind of blossom in this great way. The other one,
Right.
of course, I just directed a short film that is in the festival circuit right now. I wrote, directed, and starred in that.
That's
So I would say that was definitely very challenging.
Yeah.
Not so much performance acting wise,
Mhm.
because it's so much based on a lot of my own experience, but
Mhm.
uh, challenging because it's my entire voice in there.
amazing.
When I showed
Mhm. Yeah.
family members and friends, they were like, "Oh, there's so much of you in there. Like, there's so much of your personal life in there, and your story, and who you are." And so that feels
Mhm.
very naked to get up and be like, "Here you go, guys. Come
Yeah.
on into
Yeah.
my feelings and my life."
Right.
I
Right.
would say that's been tough. Yeah,
Yeah.
in a good way.
Yeah. No, of course. I mean, you're definitely very exposed when
Very.
you put it's like it's all you've done everything. But like again, once again, I think that's one of those things where like that's a really good experience to have to put yourself out there in that way. And it's
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, and people love it. So
Yeah. All I care about is that it opens, especially with the short that I wrote. I wrote it
mhm.
really because I think we are all so quick to judge other people,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know, um, and women have been conditioned to be pit against each other instead of
Mhm.
listening to each other, and be like, hey, that experience that you have is totally not what I would have done, or maybe I don't, but I don't live your life. I have never walked in your shoes. I have no idea why you're doing what you do. And to
Right.
be honest, it's not my place to judge why or when. It's also not my place to judge when you want to make a shift or change.
Mhm.
If one of you came to me today and you were like, "Hey, I've decided to join the circus. I'm going to be an acrobat and I love doing that." I'd be like, "Okay, great. I mean, if that's what you want, I got you. Keep
Yeah.
writing me. Let me know about being an acrobat, that's up to you."
Mhm.
So really being in charge of your own narrative is,
Mhm.
is something I'm
That's great
I'm
advice. Yeah.
working on. Yeah.
Right. Nice.
I've heard the story of how you got the role of Rita Haywith, but for some of the new postables who may not know it, could you share about that experience with us?
Sure, I'll give you a Cole's Notes version. Martha loves telling the story too, which I think is so fun. Okay, so I first of all, I got called. I sent in a tape, and then My husband actually watched the tape and he was like, "Are you going to do it like that?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know how else to do it. Like, I never read for roles like Rita. I'm not going to book this job. Like, this is not me." Um, I actually sent the sides back to my agent and said, "I think you sent me the wrong character. Like, are you sure I'm reading for this?" And she was like, "I don't know. They want to see you. Just go in." I'm like, "All right." But when I got to the audition, I had zero stress. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I was like, I'm never going to book this. So who cares? So I had no makeup or wore glasses. I remember sitting in the office watching all these other women stressed out, walking and laughing because I was like, I'm not going to book this. They're all practicing their lines. I was like, whatever.
Mhm.
And then I went in and I did it. And Martha was like, I could see, as an actor, I've been doing this for so long. You can tell in the room when they like you. Not always, but
Mhm.
sometimes there's a feeling of like, oh, okay. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, weird. This is going well. Oh, weird. Does she like me? This is so weird. I was like, oh, okay. And then I ended up booking the job, but they had seen, hundreds of girls for that role. And at one point, Jill was up for that role for Rita too.
Really?
Hazel,
Wow.
yeah, and Jill and I get along. We have a wonderful. I love Jill Morrison, and she's done very well for herself. She ended up getting on with Coast
Mhm.
Player.
Right. Yeah.
But they were just mixing everybody around, trying to figure it out. The thing with Jill was that Martha knew what she had with Jill and that Jill's so funny and so great that she said, "I'm
Mhm.
going to write you a role." And of course she did. And then she came back as Hazel.
Aw,
Which is great.
Yes,
perfect.
we love
Super.
Hazel.
Perfect. Yes,
Yeah, I love Hazel too. I mean, and Jill is just so funny.
she
Um,
is.
I think, I went in, I did the audition, and then I got the offer that night.
Oh, that's
Um,
amazing.
and it was shooting. I think I was in there on a Monday. It was shooting on a Wednesday. Like it was crazy. But I was up for another series. I had tested for another series, a sci-fi show, which was much more up my alley. And so I had to make that decision, which was, champagne problems, but like so stressful because I was like, I don't know which one to choose. And then Martha called me and said, "If you choose my show, I will write for you every day."
Oh,
Hmm.
You don't say no to that. Nobody says
Yeah.
that.
No.
Especially Martha Williamson, who's been nominated for 9
right.
Emmys and like,
Right.
you don't say no.
She's
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah. And so I said yes. And the rest is history. And thank God I did. That other show only went for 2
Mhm.
years. Our show went for 6. Also, it
Right.
transformed me into feeling like I could do comedy and being somebody
Yeah.
different. It was the right choice.
We're so
Mhm.
glad that you decided
It
to.
was.
We,
Yes.
we can't
Yes.
imagine anyone else as Rita.
No. No.
And I think
Incredible.
Gigi and
Yeah.
I, we call Jeff Gigi.
Yeah.
Gigi and I obviously have chemistry that is like,
Mhm.
can't explain that chemistry. It's just from
Mm-mm.
years and years of we've just known each other for a year. It's a very easy relationship, although we drive each other insane, but like in the best friend way.
Yeah. Right. Of
Like
course.
I really love him and he really loves me. We
Mhm.
have a very deep uh, relationship that way, so it's very easy for us on screen.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. You could definitely see that. It's
Yes.
amazing. I
You
love
both
that.
do an incredible job in your roles.
Aw. The four of us are a big old messy family. We really are. We love each other. We drive each other crazy, like every family. We stick together. We're very fiercely loyal. When it comes down, I made that joke to Martha once. I said, if we're ever in a fight, just bring an outsider in, and you'll watch us band together.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because that, at the end of the day, the four of us, we know what we have, and we know that it's the four of us that's magic. It just slowly
Yes.
turned into a little bit of a magic ensemble where we each filled
Mhm.
parts in the
Mhm.
way that
Yes.
you know.
Yeah. Yes. Definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. So when we had Kristen on the podcast, we talked about the uniqueness of Sign So Delivered a little bit. So what was your first impression when you read the script? And what
I
did you
had
think about the DLO?
I had no idea how they were going to shoot this, especially Eric's character. Like I was like,
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm so confused by this guy. Like I could not wrap my brain around him. I didn't understand who he was.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't
Yeah.
get it. And it wasn't until the table read, I actually said, "What are you going to do with this guy?" Like I was so,
Yeah.
he's so weird.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But Eric brought a sense of truthfulness to it. That was oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Contemporary, because
Mhm.
he's sort of written like an old Shakespearean, character, but there was a contemporaneous that Eric brought to it. And when he started doing it, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Totally. And I knew Eric work from like the L Word and a little bit of Ugly Betty. You know, I'd seen him throughout the years, so I thought, well, you know, I'm sure the women are gonna love this version of Oliver, so we'll be fine. And we were, and it was easy.
Yeah, and I have to say, before watching Signs of Delivered, I had no idea that a DLO ever existed.
Me neither. That's why I
I
was
was like,
like,
what is
Yeah,
this?
neither did I.
yeah,
Like,
I
what
had
is
no clue.
this?
No
Yeah.
clue.
Yeah.
So here's an actor question that we always like to ask our guest. When
Mhm.
you first landed the role of Rita, how did you build her character, and was there anything you added or pulled from the script?
Yeah, Rita's voice is much higher pitched than mine. I actually didn't do that in the audition. I started doing it at the table read, and Martha was like, "What are you doing?" Yeah. But you know, it worked. I mean, I really did think on the pilot I was getting fired because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here yet. And you can see it in the pilot that Rita was much more skittish in the pilot,
Mm.
more kind of like, you know, she was socially awkward. But it wasn't until I saw the pilot, like I watched it and was like, oh,
Mhm.
I know what I'm going to do with Rita. Rita is, if I can give her one word, it's innocent. You know,
Mhm. Yes,
she's just innocent, like about
she
everything
is.
all the time. You know, even when like Miss Special Delivery, and you know someone's trying to cut her, she's like, "What a sweet
Yeah.
girl,"
I
because
know.
she just assumes the best in people, and
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
I can pull from myself. I think
Mhm.
as an actor, you're always trying to find pieces of yourself that are in your character, and I totally
Yeah.
related to that part, and I was like, I can do innocent like nobody's business because I
Yeah.
feel that way, and I always give people the benefit of the doubt for so long, you know, and so we kind of built her from there. And Martha and I sat down, and funny enough, Martha sat down and said the exact same thing to me in her office, because she said, when I wrote this, I did not have someone like you in mind. You were not the vision I had, but when you walked in, you just delivered one of the lines, and I'd heard it so many times, and when you said it, it was like it was the first time I'd heard it. um
Mm.
so I just want you to, you know, us to create this together. And as soon as we did that, there was no problem. We got her right away. Episode 1, I remember Scott Smith, our director in the pilot, also was like, I don't know why. I know both him and Kristen were like, why did you get hired? I mean, I know because Kristen literally said that to Scott in front of me, not knowing I could hear her. And I was like, I don't know. I'm not hired for this. I'm not right for this. Um, and then on the pilot, I remember there's a moment, no, not the pilot, sorry, episode 1. There's a moment
Mm.
where Rita blocks Jessica Harmon's role. Jessica Harmon tries to walk, and then I block her. I like step forward, and then I step,
Mhm.
and we kind of choreographed that, and I did it. And Scott, I remember Scott coming up and being like, this could work, like about me. And it was like a moment where he was like, okay, yeah, no, this could work, you
Yeah.
know, and then we
Yeah.
built
Yeah.
Rita. But some of the
Right.
things happen, like Rita's run, you know, I was just running. And then Kevin thought it was hilarious. So he was like, Rita's run is the funniest. We're going to put it in every episode. I'm
Oh my
like,
goodness.
okay. So that's why
Okay.
Rita's always like, yeah, running. And that was just me running with the, you know, I didn't try, my acting is different. I don't work from the head down. So I'm not trying to like come up with things that are funny to do. They usually just come up when I'm in it. And then,
Yeah.
you know, same with the way I put my glasses off. Martha loved that. I put my glasses with my whole hand, not on
Right.
purpose.
Yeah.
You know, she was like, "Oh, that's a Rita thing. Like Rita only puts her glass up that way." I'm like, okay, can you
Right.
stop saying that? I'm thinking about it. Um, that, yeah. And my voice is different when it's Rita, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
So,
No, that's really funny. Actually, one of our listeners wanted to know, like, because she noticed that, like, whenever Rita gets nervous, she kind of like touches the side of her glasses, and she wanted to know if that was something that you did subconsciously, or if like that was in the script. So that's really
no,
interesting.
that's
Yeah.
subconscious. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
That's
just
great.
came up.
Yeah.
And then Martha was like that. And now, you know, that happens whenever I play Rita. Like a lot of the stuff
Yeah.
with Rita just is, she is the most, as soon as I sink into her, I'm like, oh, all the mannerisms, all the stuff, that just
That's
came
just,
up.
yeah, it's just Rita. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just her. It's the only character I've ever played that my parents were like, I forget it's you when I'm watching this show. I was like,
No.
great.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. No, that's a good compliment.
And
Mhm.
you said just a few minutes ago that Rita's innocence was something that you related to. I relate to that as well. Like I always try to see the best in people too, just
Mhm.
like Rita. So I can really
Yeah.
relate.
Yeah, and sometimes to a fault, you know, I think that sometimes is Rita's problem.
Yeah.
You know, it could be the best thing about her and her fatal flaw, because she also may not protect herself before protecting others.
Yeah.
That is not you need to also take care of yourself. You know,
Mhm.
because when it comes to Shane, like Rita will actually fight, right? In her own Rita
Mhm.
way. You know, she'll
Yeah.
she'll step up, but she might not do that for herself. And
Yeah.
that's something I would love to work through with Rita and the character,
Mhm.
and Martha. Um, yeah. Yeah, and the things I love about Rita is like random stuff that you find out, like the fact that she loves poker, the fact that she's always packing, like she shoots guns, you know, like, you know, whatever you didn't expect from Rita, she's still badass, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's great.
Yeah.
So Rita has some great costumes and several different pairs of glasses. Is there a particular wardrobe piece that's your favorite? And also, did you get to keep any of those pieces?
I kept all of my wardrobe. That's in my contract. I have all of
Oh,
it.
That's
nice.
Yeah, my agent was like, "Why do you want this?" I was like, "Because Rita's outfits are amazing. They
Yeah.
are amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the pieces, even separately, I can wear them with different things."
Yeah.
That was probably the most fun, creating the character with the wardrobe with Rita, because
Mhm.
her wardrobe is so cool.
Mhm.
I love her original glasses, and
Mhm.
Yes, me
I've
too.
actually asked to take them multiple times, because I'm like, those are mine. I
Yeah.
want those glasses. But we don't know if it's officially going or not going. So
Yes.
like, no, we have to keep these, because if it goes and you lose them. And I was
Right.
like, but if it doesn't go and you lose these, I will murder you. Like, those are
Yeah.
my glasses.
Those
Yeah.
are
Those
mine.
are
Yes.
Rita's.
Yes.
And they're vintage, and there's only one pair.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So
That's really
those are
cool.
my favorite glasses by far. Those are my favorite glasses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Those are very unique, very
Yeah.
Rita. I
Yes.
love them, and I hope you get to keep them one day.
I hope
That
so
would be
too.
awesome.
But let's hope
Yeah.
that it's because we keep shooting, so I don't get
Yes,
this wrong.
exactly.
crossed.
Exactly. Yes. Fingers crossed.
I'm sure you know how much the Postables love the dynamic between Rita and Norman. So
Mhm.
what are a couple of your most favorite scenes with Jeff? And if Hallmark decides to renew the show, what do you think that will mean for them as a couple?
The first kiss was my favorite scene with
One of
Norman and
mine
Rita.
too. Yeah.
Hitting heads with the
Mhm.
owl, that was another great scene with them. I really loved. I love when
Mhm.
Norman tells me in the Christmas movie that he doesn't like my cookies. I just thought
Yes.
that was, like, finally they were just like being honest with each other in this really lovely way. Um,
Mhm.
those are some of my favorite scenes. I think, you know, the thing about Norman and Rita is there's no characters on Hallmark like Norman and Rita. There just isn't. They
Mm-mm.
represent
No.
our characters represent a whole number of people out there that either don't feel like they fit in to the everyday world, feel a little bit different, maybe feel a little bit socially awkward, or whatever.
Mhm.
I think our characters really speak to that. And so I would love to see
Yes.
them dealing with some extraordinary circumstances in a Norman and Rita way. And what would be
Mhm.
extraordinary to them, you know, like even seeing with them adopting
Mhm.
not just the baby, but the family, the mom
Yes.
too. Um,
Yeah.
that's very Norman and Rita. And so I like throwing marital obstacles, real ones, hard ones, their way.
Mhm.
Because I think they deal with things in a grace
Mhm.
that maybe not the average person does. I don't think they deal with
Right.
it with anger, but I'd like to see that. I'd like to see them get pushed just a little bit. Um, and so that the people that don't feel like they see themselves on all their Hallmark shows and see themselves through us can see themselves go through everyday life struggles and still overcome. And what does that look like for them? You know?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I know that when I was first watching the show, I definitely felt like Rita and Norman a little bit, because growing up, I always felt very socially awkward. I was a little bit quiet, and I just like didn't know really what my place was in a group. And
Mhm.
so when I watched like kind of their journey through that, like I know that that really helped me a lot. And now that like I'm grown up and I'm an adult and stuff, like I can see like all those little things and how like it just like comes together. And like I love that. And I love what you're saying about, giving them like those real world struggles and kind of that scenario of how they are. I love that. I would love to see that.
Yeah. I
love
That's
mean,
great.
everybody deals with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real world struggles
Yeah.
do not discriminate. So,
No, no,
everyone deals with
absolutely not.
heartbreak,
Yeah.
everyone deals with grief, everyone
Yeah.
deals with loss, and everyone deals
Yeah.
with, angry coworkers, whatever, you know, and maybe watching, especially Norman. I would love to see Norman deal with somebody that makes him feel like his anxiety is creeping up, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and those kind of mental health issues too. I would love to see them both kind of, because that is so prevalent and nobody wants to talk about it. And I would love to see them just deal with it in a way that was like, I have anxiety.
Yeah.
Feeling
Yeah.
anxious right now. Could you
Right.
please
Right.
go away for a minute and, you know, have
Yeah.
the other person go, oh, okay. Oh, what does that mean? What's anxiety? You know, and have them
Yeah.
maybe learn about that
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely.
how-
That would be a great storyline.
Mhm.
I love how Hallmark has started doing more and more of that. So that is one reason why I would love to see this on the show.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm really impressed with the scripts that I've been reading lately coming out of there. You know, they're getting deeper. And we know that there's going to be a happy ending. So we know that we don't have to be stressed about that, but also we can tackle some things that are a little bit deeper, you know.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Always has. We've always bigger,
They
much
always. Oh yeah.
But I think the network as a whole is starting to embrace that. And we're seeing so many different people and like different perspectives. And I'm like, oh, amazing. That's great. Yeah. And you know what? It's not scary. It's just somebody else's life experience. So great. That's what we should be doing. You know, America's filled with a lot of people, a lot of different people. That's what's beautiful about this country.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was also going to say a few minutes ago, besides the wedding, I think one of my favorite scenes between Rita and Norman would have to be in, I think it was From the Heart, when she comes back and she's sitting in the DLO with the cards. Yeah.
No, that was, I mean, I was so pregnant. I was so pregnant. I was like 9.5 months pregnant during that. In fact, when I was finished wrapping, the production manager was like, can you leave? Just like, why? Alan? Well, it's funny because I had said to him, what's the insurance? Like, what are you paying on a 9-month? He was like, nobody will cover you. Like, we don't have insurance for you. So we want you to just get leave, shoot your stuff and
then
go.
leave. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that's memorable.
I said, Alan, you know, he's a very distinguished grown ass man, you know, so for him to look terrified was the funniest thing for me ever. I was like, all right, I'm calling a cab. I'm out of here.
Okay. I'm leaving. Okay.
Yeah. And then I gave birth while they were filming, I think. And Kristen was able to extend her stay before Christmas and come. Yeah, she came to the hospital and held my daughter when my daughter was a day and a half old.
That's sweet.
Yeah, we're tight. You know what I mean? We're not like, we are like, we're sisters.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah. We love the friendship between the two of y'all on and off the screen.
On and off, yes.
It's nice to find. She said that to me while we were filming. She was like, you know, you're so not like competitive, you know, and that happens so much, you know, in every industry, especially in the film industry, because so much of our self-worth and so much is like on a chance. Women never get great roles. You know, there's so little for us the scraps to fight over in the past. Everybody's trying to out beautiful each other because that's part of like, you know, being on the screen. And neither Kristen and I did that with each other. Like there was just I never felt like we were in competition with each other at all. I actually really looked up to Kristen and was like, your work is so good. I mean, she's so good. And she's already so beautiful. Like none of that felt stressful for me, you know, and that's also just not who I am in general.
Yeah. Right.
She wasn't either. So it was like we pumped each other up. Like I rewatched the episode where Rita gets the makeover.
Yes.
I still remember like Kristen seeing me come out of the trailer and she was like, oh my God, they're gonna die. They're gonna die. You know, nobody had seen me besides being Rita, which was quite and so she went and like ran to her trailer and got her phone because she was like so pumped and stoked to see me and like walked in front of me with a coat and then was like, guys, here's Rita. Like, and she and I was like, oh my God, you know, like my mom, as if my mom just got me the pageant. And then I walked in, she was like filming me and like laughing so hard. And yeah, it was really fun.
That's a great memory.
It was fun. That was a lot of time.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Over the years, Signed Sealed Delivered has had many great guest stars. If you could choose one guest star to come back on a future Signed Sealed Delivered, who would that be?
Wow. I mean, who's not saying Carol Burnett? Like Carol
Yeah.
Burnett,
Right?
like,
Yes.
I mean, that is the clear, obvious choice. But I
Yeah.
mean,
Right.
obviously for me, it would have been Della Reese. Unfortunately, she's passed now, but
Yeah.
Della was a force.
He's
And I
amazing.
can't believe, Martha came up to me on set and said, "This is probably the last time Della Reese will ever be on television. And
Hmm.
it's with you." I was
Wow.
like, normally that would have scared me, and it didn't. I was like, you know what? You're right. That's true. So I am going to soak in all of this. I don't know if you've
All
ever
of
met
it. Yeah.
Della Reese's like career, but that woman, um, you know, overcame boundary after boundary after, like, her career is amazing. And I am so grateful I got to spend those minutes with her. And our scene was pretty much improvised. She
Really.
grabbed my hand and
Wow.
she goes, "Don't ever let them change you, baby." And in that scene, none of that stuff was written. That was just her.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
and I felt it. And then I
Yeah.
started crying, and I was like, I'm crying in the Della Reese. She meant it. She really did. Like, and her presence was very, I can't explain it because, she had a stroke, I think, by that point. So she wasn't well. But when the cameras came on and it was like, Martha had said to us, she said, "Just so you know, Della's a force, you'll see what I mean." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And then she walked on set and I was like, "Oh, if she had been not at the stage she was, when she was ill, I don't
Yeah.
even know what it would have been like to be in a room with that woman." Because there's some people that just, they fill a room.
Hmm.
And she did. And I was like, I love this. This is amazing. I
Wow.
am in the presence of somebody who fills the space like this.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. But
Oh.
otherwise, Carol, hello. Valerie
Yes.
Bertinelli. I wish we could get Valerie Bertinelli back. She was awesome. She
Right.
was so fun to work with, so sweet, normal, like, as if she wasn't Valerie Bertinelli. God, we've had so many great
Mm-hmm.
guest stars. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
so many to choose from.
Yeah.
So many to choose from. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could trade places with any Signed Sealed Delivered character for a day, who would it be and why?
Oh my God. The first person that came to my head, so I'm just going to say it, is Eric. I would trade places. And
Nice.
I would be Oliver, and I would sit in that stuffy ass suit. And I would just do the thing. But you know what I would do? I would secretly let Oliver let loose in my scenes, and I would unbutton my tie and just do crazy stuff as him. Like, if we could Freaky Friday, I would do
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
100%.
That would be amazing.
That'd be hilarious.
And I would have him dancing on tables and line dancing somewhere, and anything that I could think of that he would be mortified at, I would definitely do that. That would be so much fun.
Postables would pay big money to watch that episode.
Yeah, that would be so fun. Maybe I'll pitch that. We should do a Freaky Friday episode.
Do it.
Yeah.
Also, I'd love to see him in my costumes, just trying to make that working it. That would be my
Oh yeah. That's quite a sight, yes. That's funny. So we know you've been writing and directing some short films recently, which you mentioned. How has that experience shaped your career now? And would you ever be willing to direct a Signed Sealed Delivered movie in the future?
Well, I really love directing. I love directing almost more than acting. I don't want to say that, but they're both hand in hand. And the writing is really my entire voice in there. So this is what I'm going to be doing from now on. I will never stop writing and directing. I will do all three.
Yeah.
That is who I am. The women that I most admire are people like Mindy Kaling and Issa Rae, people that are Phoebe Waller-Bridge, these women that are forging the way, making their own content, doing their own stuff. That is where my career is headed. That's what I'll be doing forever. Would I direct a Signed Sealed? Absolutely, I would love to, as long as it didn't compromise the story and the film. Because if I'm in it a lot, it's really important for me that the story is everything for me.
Yes.
So, film is everything for me. Story is everything for me. So I would want to direct one that I was maybe light in, that Rita didn't have like a very high arc in, and I didn't have a big story, I had a smaller storyline, then that would be fine. I would
Yeah.
love to direct one like
Right.
that to make sure that I'm not compromising anything. But yeah, I would love to direct one. I
We
would
would love
love to
to
tell Eric what to do. Are you kidding me? That would be so fun. And Gigi, like, Jeff, could you do it one more time?
Yeah, just one more.
Just the mess of them. Could you
Yeah.
smile a little more? I also know, I think it's something that would be beneficial for me directing a piece like that is that I know everybody's instrument really, really well.
Mhm.
Like I am actively working on shooting something with Kristen as the lead.
Ooh,
I can't
ooh, that's exciting.
possibly working
Okay.
with Martha Williamson, possibly. We'll see. But
Oh,
I'm
okay.
intrigued.
Okay.
nothing is guaranteed, but
Yes.
I am
Yes.
working
Fingers
on it.
crossed.
That's exciting. Okay.
And if because I know Kristen's instrument inside and out. I know
Yes.
how her, and I talk about, like, obviously our body, our acting work this is an instrument, and I know how people's instrument works on our show. I know how Eric's works. I know how Jeff works, and I know we speak the same language. So that
Mhm.
part I think would be, the easiest part for me, quite frankly.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it would move very quickly of what I'm trying to get them to give me. It would be quick. And then the rest of it would follow suit because I know the show really well. I know the tone of the show. I know everything. So yes, I would be thrilled to do one if and when the time's right. If not, I'm going to be making my own stuff constantly, anyways.
We would love to see.
That's great. I love that. That's super exciting.
Mhm.
I also have one more question that some of the Postables would love to know. If the Postables went international, what would be your idea of a plot and where would you want them to go?
Oh my God, I just want to pick a place that I could go, that I want to go. Oh my God. I mean, I would love to go somewhere like Italy.
Mhm. I'd
I
love to
think
see that.
Paris makes sense for us to go just because it's been so
Mhm.
heavily
Yeah.
talked about in the show.
Right.
But I think it would be really cool to do something like totally out of the box and go to Japan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Maybe there was like a letter from the war from like a bajillion years ago, that
Wow.
resurfaces, and maybe there's um, a young daughter who doesn't know that her father was an American soldier who
Wow.
was
Wow.
living in the
Yeah.
U.S.
I would love to
And
see that.
so she would be a mix
Mhm.
like me. Uh,
Yeah.
and then we could go over there, find her, and tell her who her father really was,
Aw.
because maybe she didn't like him because she thought he just left. Something
Yeah.
That
something
would be
dramatic.
amazing.
I
I
love
like
that.
dramatic. So
Oh yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
All about that. Yes.
yeah, the
I
more
always,
drama, the better.
I always love the
Yes. Oh
military
yes.
storylines too, because my step grandfather fought in the Vietnam War and he actually flew planes off of the Yorktown here in Mount Pleasant
Oh wow.
in
Wow.
Patriots Point. He
Yeah,
Wow.
that
never
would be
lost a man under his command, which is incredible.
wow.
Wow. That is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the people that are in service are, I I don't think you can put into words how grateful we have to be for them. I don't always agree with the political choices that force their
Mhm.
hand, but that's
Yeah.
not them. That's
Yeah.
they're just doing this, and I'm
Right.
so grateful for them, all of
Mhm.
them.
Me
So
too.
it'd be cool, something like that. Maybe a storyline where also I'm dying. I'd go to Vietnam too. That'd be really cool. Something that would make it
Yeah.
a real fish out of water story, if you guys know what that is.
Yeah.
Like, for us
Yes.
to be in somewhere that's like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
this is like,
Yeah.
that would be really neat. And watching Oliver speak a different language, wouldn't that be so cool?
Yes.
Yes. Let's
And
do it.
he would, right? Like, he
He
would
would.
research everything, and then he would try to speak in
Oh
whatever
yeah.
language,
Oh yeah.
and maybe be terrible at it. And that would be
Oh
the
my
cutest thing,
goodness.
right? So
It would,
I could just see him trying to speak Japanese. That
yeah.
would be gold.
And taking those pauses, and then, I would
Yeah.
love to watch
Yeah.
that. It'd be
I
really
love
fun.
that.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that. So our listeners would love to learn more about Afterglow. Can you share a
Mm.
little bit about that really quick, when that might be available and how people can support it?
Oh, okay. So right now it's being submitted to every festival. We just did the California Women's Festival. I'm still waiting to hear on multiple other festivals. I probably will start a page for it soon, an Instagram page, which I'll put on mine. But if you want to just follow my journey, I'll be posting everything on Instagram. I'm at official Crystal Lowe. I'm not on Twitter as much just because people are angry there, and it's exhausting. They're a little happier on Twitter, and on TikTok. I'm going back on there too because I'm obsessed with TikTok because where am I going to get my therapy, guys? It's all there. It's free. And then I will be possibly fundraising for this new project to raise some funds. The people that have donated to me already have been so generous and kind. In no way am I asking for them to donate again. But if these listeners don't mind sharing, just when I post and see if there's other people that are interested in donating, that would be amazing. Because I might have to do another round of funds too for AfterGlow. Because if we get accepted into these festivals, I'm gonna have to fly to them. So we might do that. So if people want to support in that way, but really for me, it's just getting the word out. Telling people about it, and pitching in and helping. That is like, I'm eternally grateful. Also very transparent. So I'm really happy to share with people. I had a fan ask me, how does this work? And I explained to her the process and she was like, oh my God, it's, you're really throwing yourself out there for the sake of your art. For AfterGlow, I actually wrote a pilot for it. So I'm pitching it as a series, or hoping to pitch it as a series.
Wow.
And when the short comes out on Vimeo and all that stuff, I would love to let you guys know. Maybe you can let your listeners know. It'll have to be after the festival circuit. And then if I end up in a festival that's close to you, come. Please come. I had so many people show up and it was wonderful to have them. So yeah.
That's great. Exciting stuff. Yeah.
For me, I always love supporting all of my favorite actors with all of their work. So
and word of mouth is a huge support. Like, so, not everybody has financial backing to do that, but just spreading the word to people that might want to or are interested. Amazing. I'm so grateful for that,
So to end off our interview, sorry, I'm gonna start that over.
Okay, great. Yeah. Take two and action.
To begin the new year, we've started a new segment on the podcast where we ask our guests to share an inspiring quote or piece of advice they've received. Do you have an inspiring quote or piece of advice you'd like to share with our listeners?
The quote that I love is from Winston Churchill that I think of all the time, and I want you guys to keep this in your brain. When I'm feeling like I can't do something, or especially if somebody tells me I can't do something, I just repeat this. History will be kind to me, for I intend to write it. Go write your own history. Okay. And my advice to you is do not let anyone tell you you can't do something. I don't know how many people have told me that I can't do stuff constantly. Oh, you're too old. You're not cute enough. It's the industry doesn't want that. Well, you would have to change an entire industry to do that. Nobody's doing that. Okay. Then I will. Okay. Then, somebody has to do that. Somebody has to, be the person that makes those changes. So let it be you. Don't ever underestimate who you are. And I don't care if you're an introvert, extrovert, I don't care, but none of that matters. Don't ever let yourself get swayed by other people's opinions of you. You know what you're supposed to do. The other piece of advice that I have been listening to a lot lately is from Oprah. When you find yourself asking everybody else's opinion, should I do this? Should I do that? Do you think I should do this? What job do you think I should go for? That's when it's time to get quiet and go within. That's when when it's time to stop asking and just get real quiet. Go for a hike, go for a walk, whatever makes you feel good, get a coffee shop and just stop and then listen to yourself, because you know the answer already. You already know it. And if the outside world wasn't telling you what you're supposed to do, you would be doing the thing that speaks to you already. So listen to yourself. That's what I'm doing, trying. And sometimes I feel stupid doing it, but oh well. Oh well, I just decided not to, that would be the advice that I give. quotes that I'm living by right now.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
This was such oh, sorry, I interrupted.
That's okay.
I never like to talk over people, so.
Oh, girl, I'm an actor. I'm surrounded by a million people that all talk over each other. You're good.
Oh yeah.
Thank you again. Well, this was such a pleasure. Thank you so much, Crystal. We had a great time chatting with you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on board. And yeah,
course.
official Crystal Lowe. Please come and join my two things. My glow up. Every day I'm going to be posting something that I love to do. So please come and follow that journey if you're interested. Number 2, I just launched with R3 Stem Cell. We're doing a 90-day fitness challenge, but that's health, mind, and body. So you can go on their website and see. I put the link in my bio. Every week we're just giving people challenges, and every week, it's like, are you going to drink all the water? Drink all the water. It's not just about working out. It's about like taking care of yourself.
Right. Okay.
Feeling really good. When you're looking at the can of soda and that water, you're like, oh, Crystal said, drink the water,
Right.
So check it out. If you're interested, come along. We'll have workout tips on there. We'll also have just like clean eating, but easy, not stressful clean eating, recipes, all this kind of stuff.
That's great. Thank you. Definitely check that out, Postables.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
All right, Postables, I think that wraps up our interview with the lovely Crystal Lowe. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed, and have a great day or night wherever you are in the world. And we will see you next time. We love y'all. Bye.